Upon hearing this, he took the risk to watch. If it didn't work out, there would be nothing lost. The master then placed his finger on the red-marked area. Soon after, Van Vu screamed in agony to the point where Van Truong, the old master, also felt the pain along with his grandson. He intended to rush out to intervene, but was stopped by Yen, the old chief, who urged him to trust the little master and step aside. Watching the child almost dying and still speaking like that was unbearable. Finally, the treatment process was completed, and Van Yen rushed to take the weak body of Van Vu. He suddenly demanded an explanation from Thien Pham for this incident, but the boy stopped him. Then, a clear voice rang out, calling for the grandfather twice, saying, "Grandpa, my head hurts too much, I can't bear it anymore." Knowing this, the old master paid even closer attention to everything. It was unbelievable that the boy's eyesight had returned to normal, so he had recovered from the illness. Overwhelmed with emotion, he hugged the normally lively grandson tightly, now even more admired than before. Since the poisoning incident, it was evident that he had understood medicine. Indeed, the little master was skilled in martial arts and well-versed in medicine. Thien Pham's journey had successfully exceeded expectations. He received the jade tablet back from Van Truong, the old master, who thanked him for curing his grandson. Now, Van Vu can live like a normal person, carefree. He didn't pay much attention to the old master's words of gratitude, only reminding the way Van Q had acted before. His heart had been in turmoil ever since, especially towards the woman he admired, who had always been loyal. But this time, his feelings were indescribable. Late into the night, Thien Pham returned to the demon sect. Not long after meeting the old demon leader outside, he recognized the person accompanying him as the imposter Yen, the old chief. The old demon leader opened curiously at Van Q's direction, thinking that his grandson had finally taken off that mask. "This worldly face is a waste to hide," he said. Congratulating the little master, the demon leader assures him that the Grandmaster Ma Long will surely assist him. Fortunately, with Van Q's help, the imposter Yen had left. As for the old demon leader, where did he go? The subordinates quickly apologized for failing to meet the Dream Lake sect, as he was busy with guests. Could it be that bruised person? Thien Pham realized. The protagonist was curious about why the imposter Yen was here. This matter needed to be clarified directly by that person. Meeting the imposter Yen and the little master, known as Number 24, today was to report that someone had infiltrated the demon sect. The imposter Yen was anxious, demanding an explanation from the little master. If it was within the last 10 days, it meant today. Such an incident had never happened before. She had guessed it would happen because she was eager to meet him. In reality, the appointment at the summit of the 10,000 Great Mountains after 2 years had arrived. As usual, the chief went to meet the mysterious unknown person who had just set foot on the summit. She was surprised. "It's you. I thought all 3 of us would meet again, but now it's just the 2 of us. Your climbing skills seem to have improved significantly. You must have a good cultivation." Yen, the demon leader, looked at Ban Qilong's face with disdain, not wanting to engage. Despite things happening this way, ultimately we are all long-time acquaintances. If my guess is correct, then surely he is here because of the long-awaited appointment after those years. Indeed, the person has appeared, changing the time, but you are still very punctual. Having reached the realm of transformation, yet I still cannot perceive him. His reaction must be related to the death of Vu Tranguyen. The other person also knew about it. Without further delay, the unknown person demanded the demonstration of the old sword technique, but he said no before the sentence was finished. The person asked irritably, "What are you playing at?" "I am the second elder, the Dream Emperor Sword Sect's leader, requesting an audience with you." The sword technique resembles the Heaven Demon sword technique that the sect leader had used in battle 3 years ago. You can easily move within the sect and know the secrets of the sword demon only the supreme sect master. Your family has misunderstood something. As Ban Qilong, who was about to continue speaking, realized that there was someone else present here, a voice kept repeating the question, "Who has violated our covenant?" Seeing no response, a sword aura was unleashed towards the front, revealing some sort of illusion. The Dream Huang sword sect only now realized they had been followed without knowing when. It seems like everyone has noticed the presence of someone, that someone being the junior sect master of the demon sect, Thien Pham. They thought they could completely conceal their cultivation, yet they were still discovered by the other person. Ban Shilong turned to blame this on the Supreme Sect Master, saying, "This is not something caused by us. We have kept our promise. You should continue passing it on to the disciples of the Sword Sect. From the moment someone broke all the agreements, everything ended. I don't intend to pass on the 14th demon sword to you anymore." He left amid the confusion of those who remained. Yet Mako didn't bother saying anything and followed someone else. "You can leave on your own like that. This woman is terrible. Now your family has revealed its true colors all because of anger." So both of them directed their swords towards each other, but it seemed like Ban Shilong couldn't retaliate against the senior Thap anymore. He had just touched him, and the sword in his hand was trembling uncontrollably. Why is he getting stronger? While pondering, the opponent suddenly appeared in front of him. At the same time, Tian Pham was swiftly chasing after the anonymous person from earlier whom I couldn't catch up with. He had to take the risk. Maybe activating night vision and enhancing the visual system had located and marked the direction of movement, helping the owner who was very anxious if not caught, then only losing the secret of the sword. Both flew straight over a hill, but each fell in a different direction because the anonymous person had cleverly escaped. He was quite regretful for not passing on the 14th demon sword to his successor. If he had appeared, this matter wouldn't have been important anymore. Suddenly, a scream resounded, making this person startled. Pham, with a fierce face, was thrusting his sword into the anonymous person immediately. He drew his sword to resist the sudden powerful blow that created strong shocks. It was very difficult because Pham's strength was extremely abundant. Then the anonymous had to exert himself to push him far away. Loud explosions and the current situation being clearly suppressed indicate that the anonymous was not weak but simply caught off guard. Nano immediately restores all the broken bones for the owner. "I will never risk my life like this again." His power radiated strongly like a balance scale. "Don't tell me you jumped down from up there." Looking at the protagonist's face, that was enough for an answer. The mystery still couldn't believe it. "You jumped down from that height because you guessed I would come down here. This guy is really crazy." But after recovering his body, he also approached the opponent. "It's time to find out who you are. But bravery just does that. You are very courageous." Saying this, the anonymous drew his sword straight to attack, even though doing so wouldn't change anything. He quickly used the 14th demon sword, and the aura shot straight towards Tian Pham. He realized that even though they used the same technique, the sword technique of this person was stronger than that of Yen Truom Lao. Its power was much stronger. "I have to try my best for this." He displayed the technique of extreme sword to resist the anonymous person who knew of the existence of this technique, so he also realized his weaker power and the recent fall must have affected the sword technique of the extreme sword, making it one level higher than the technique of the 14th demon sword, so it couldn't determine victory or defeat immediately. Indeed, this person deliberately didn't want to fight anymore. Some basic sword moves were deliberately used to push the junior sect master back. He didn't hesitate to continuously exert force. "We can't let him escape like this." He quickly approached, making the opponent to defend himself. Dozens of sword energies were emitted from the protagonist's body, looking very terrifying. This was the third technique of the extreme sword technique, the unwavering sword ki. Without hesitation, the anonymous person gave up the ki boundary in his hand and also used internal energy to release sword energy from his body, seemingly wanting to isolate Tian Pham. This is the essence kiss sword technique. It looks so dangerous. Moreover, due to weak determination, he used it inaccurately, so its power was halved. I guess that must be the second form of the heavenly demon sword technique. Now it's Tian Pham's turn to be overwhelmed. The opponent has spotted a vulnerability and closed in on him quickly, spraying blood like the sword in his hand pierced into Tian Pham's shoulder. Continuing to press the attack, aiming to worsen the wound, Tian Pham's expression was indescribably agonized, his face contorting in pain. Finally, he had to forcefully withdraw his sword to avoid being overpowered. He's strong indeed. I never expected someone like him in this martial arts realm. Surely, you've noticed the disparity in our abilities by now, haven't you? You're not my match, so stop following me. His gaze remains sharp. So, he truly is from the Poison Sect. Despite being weaker, he doesn't seem afraid. The aura emanating from him is also a warning. This time, it won't stop at a mere slash on the shoulder. He has channeled a lot of internal energy into the sword, then directed it forward with great force, creating a burst of ki. The sword energy swirling around makes it hard for Tian Pham to anticipate a counterattack. This is indeed the fourth form of the heavenly demon sword technique, full of surprises. At this point, Tian Pham doesn't know how to cope. He takes a deep breath and charges forward, still relying on the extreme saber Dao techniques to withstand his injuries. Suddenly after, the Nano recovery technique of the heavenly demon sword technique kicks in, truly living up to its reputation. If this continues, I'll lose here. Thinking so, he decides to resort to the final move, a series of demonic ki emanating from his body, forming and reconnecting many fragments of the heavenly demon sword. Now the opponent finally notices the astonishing transformation. In his mind, he can't believe such a thing exists in Tian Pham's hands. Now, with 2 hands and 2 swords, he is afraid of nothing. With that, he temporarily unleashes the Huta sword of the First Elder, combined with the extreme saber Dao techniques, followed by a series of heavenly demon sword techniques. Spectacular illusions appear before the opponent, making the swordplay extremely unpredictable, reminiscent of his battle with the Sect master of the Saber Sect. The opponent remains rooted in place, still caught off guard. Before he can recover, he steadfastly directs his swords toward the opponent's center. The 2 swords, full of power, clash, creating deafening sounds. However, the heavenly demon sword, with its hardness and age, overcomes the opponent's ki, shattering it into pieces. Now, he begins to feel fear and confusion, not knowing what to do. Tian Pham's speed is too fast to react to, and the opponent's body is now defenseless. He crashes hard into a nearby tree, desperately trying to regain his senses to find a way to escape. But as he raises his head, a sword and a saber strike his neck. Indeed, he's a monster. He thought he had won. How naive! Despite the vast difference in realm and profoundness, both are incredibly strong. This one understands that Tian Pham is combining the heavenly demon sword technique with the extreme saber Dao. Then he used the technique of the First Elder to quickly deliver a decisive blow, disregarding the opponent's thoughts. The disguise is quickly torn apart, revealing a masculine face mixed with the maturity of a martial artist. Never before has he seen him like this. He also proactively asks about the little Sect master's identity. There's no need to fight or flee anymore. Just give up what you have and leave. Hearing the voice, he immediately recognized him as the Grand Protector. So, he's not the Sect master. Throughout this time, he has changed his voice. Sir, please explain everything to me. Before he could say anything to the little Sect master, suddenly intense tremors shook the ground, accompanied by powerful streams of ki descending from above. Both immediately realize that the Grand Protector is in danger. The scene changes instantly, shifting upwards. Yen's body is now covered in wounds, her white devil robe stained with blood. It seems she's trying to flee, but the dreaming sword sect has begun to emerge from the smoke and dust in front of her, moving as quickly as a mouse. Let's see how long you can avoid it. Indeed, the sect leader is using the reverse blood demon technique to regain the advantage, not only in strength but also in speed. The Grand Protector tries everything to escape, but how can he confront a true monster like the sect leader? He constantly appears and disappears, aiming to deliver a powerful punch straight into Yen's body. She is thrown near the edge of the cliff, but fortunately, she manages to regain her balance with the little strength left. Although unable to fight back, his demeanor shows no fear. Your family has resorted to the reverse blood demon technique, yet he remains calm. How can the blood demon technique of our dialogue god technique be compared to the trivial demonic arts of ordinary people? Our sect leader has succeeded in eliminating most of the side effects. The black dark martial arts used by the sect leader will gradually erode one's humanity and drive them to madness. But the Qi-Long sect is different. If he can change, it's extremely dangerous for our sect. Perhaps due to some issue, they haven't revealed this openly yet. Your family's lives end here. Just died already. Yen, lying silent on the ground, braces herself as she faces the opponent's sword. Then she counterattacks with her own Duong sword, aiming straight at the opponent. However, a cracking sound echoes as the sword strikes the body of the dreaming sword sect leader. His body is as hard as a rock. Indeed, an eyesore. Finally, you've realized, haven't you? The sect leader, his face darkened, knowing his imminent demise, clenches his muscles to crush Yen's fragile body. Now, feeling powerless, Yen remains silent, awaiting death. Such overwhelming power. After using the reverse blood demon technique, a loud explosion echoes at the peak of the 10,000 great mountains. Yet neither of them dies. Slowly opening his eyes, he sees the sect leader rising from below to save his subordinate. Trembling, the second elder cries out the name of the clan leader. Luckily, it's not too late, as your family still intends to interfere. Thien fam, don't waste time on nonsense. Get to the point. The Qi-Long sect leader's eyes flash with anger, his blood pulsating fiercely. So, you think you're formidable enough to defeat me? He shouted loudly, then channels all his energy into his arm, waiting for the heavenly demon sword to strike again. Now that little trick won't help you defeat me. If that's the case, try my next move. Both their speeds have reached the point where they're imperceptible to the naked eye. Now the demonic ki envelops Thien fam's entire body. He puts all his strength into this strike, aiming the sword straight at the monster's face. The opponent retaliates with his own formidable energy, creating massive bursts of energy. The clash generates deadly lightning bolts, causing the monster to silently acknowledge that he must use all his strength to withstand this blow. But the protagonist is not holding back either, putting all his massive body's strength into the attack. He flies past, and the opponent's internal energy disappears. Qi-Long doesn't feel any pain from the terrifying scene just witnessed. The bloody spectacle is also noticed by the Grand Protector and Yen. Thien fam's body is now utterly exhausted, collapsing to the ground. The second elder's trembling hands, upon realizing his condition, are filled with ki and blood, unceasingly restless. His eyes sway, then everything turns dark. It's the sect leader's hard-fought victory against one of the strongest members of the celestial demon sect. Now it's Nano's turn to fulfill its duty. Fortunately, the body has recovered in time. Thien fam plans to examine the body for something unusual, but the Grand Protector approaches without a word. He then respectfully performed a ritual in front of the sect leader. "Greetings, contemporary celestial demon sect leader," he says, somewhat confusingly. Yen, the sect leader, sees the face of the Grand Protector for the first time. "Indeed, you are the one who called me and taught martial arts all these years. But what exactly are you talking about?" She turns to the sect leader with an expression of confusion. Her eyes hastily examine the sword he holds. The second elder shouts loudly upon seeing the celestial demon sword, and she performs the same action as the Grand Protector. "Greetings, contemporary celestial demon sect leader," Thien fam, bewildered, asks. "What's happening? Are you both affected by too many strikes? Why are you doing this?" "Because you are the true celestial demon," replies the Grand Protector. "In the northern court of our sect, in the hall of succession of the previous sect leaders, the position of the celestial demon founder and the shrine of the ancestors holds the testament of his teachings. There's also a tablet left by the celestial demon founder that states neither possesses the true celestial demon sword shall inherit my title. Even the current sect leader has only a fake sword. All the elders are aware of this truth." The protagonist finds it difficult to understand why the elders still acknowledge this. 500 years ago, before the incident with the Supreme Doubt God, there were rumors that the celestial demon sword was stolen for fear of civil unrest. If they knew the truth, everyone would try to keep it secret. The Great Guardian also spoke up to clarify a few words of Elder Yan, stating that the reason the sect leader didn't mention the heavenly demon sword was because the guardians of the heavenly demon order, through generations, ensured that the sect leaders remain loyal and do not violate the heavenly demon order. They are the heirs of martial arts passed down directly from the founder of the heavenly demon sect, so they are just as powerful as the sect leader. For so long, they have been the shadow of the sect leader, so other disciples don't know much about them. When Elder Yan presented the heavenly demon sword, the guardian of the heavenly demon order, feeling touched by the precious item before him, proactively presented it with both hands to them. The speaker affirmed that he is the guardian of the heavenly demon order, and it is also the secret duty of the previous great guardians, represented by a token created by the founder of the heavenly demon sect himself. Even though this duty has been passed down, the sect leader may still see them as a threat. The founder of the heavenly demon sect established rules and restrictions for the guardians, including enduring the toxicity of the forbidden poison, especially the particular prohibition against venomous insects parasitic within the body, or otherwise known as ancient spirits. If internal energy is transmitted into these spirits, the poison will run rampant and spread throughout the body, causing the host to suffer greatly. The heart of the sect leader was already prepared, and only the great guardian lineage knew how to create ancient spirits. If the sect leader wishes to ascend to the new position, they will offer the ancient relic to him, as promised. Loyalty understands that this is a symbiotic relationship where no one harms the other. The founder of the Heavenly Demon Sect sealed the Heavenly Demon Sword in the scripture, predicting that someone qualified would obtain it. The guardian of the Heavenly Demon Order swore allegiance to the contemporary Heavenly Demon. Not only him but the entire Great Guardian lineage will be under the control of the contemporary Heavenly Demon. This is good, but there is still an explanation to be given, said Elder Yan. 25 years ago, the Supreme Sect leader suddenly relinquished his position. After stepping down, he immediately went into seclusion for cultivation. When he returned, 5 years had passed and his power had increased significantly beyond comparison. Before disappearing that night, he inspired us to remain silent and gave no indication of his whereabouts. The scene returns 20 years ago to the chamber of the Heavenly Demon Sword, where all I said from that moment onwards was, from this moment forth, you will only reveal to the sect leader, and you also know about the existence of the Tan sword and the 24 demon swords in the library, right? We are about to go to another unfamiliar place in 10 years. If we don't return, there is no need to follow the guidance of the sword of the devil, but continue to teach martial arts to anyone who is destined. After delivering these words, he handed him a letter. Read it, and you'll understand. After reading it, the great guardian was surprised. During the 5 years of cultivation, he had researched these techniques. During his absence, you continue to research and perfect the Heavenly Demon Sword technique to assist us. Although intending to refuse, he still believes that you could accomplish it within 10 years. The Great Guardian had waited for the Supreme Sect leader for 8 years and spent 10 years studying the Heavenly Demon Sword technique, but only reached the level of key energy. The main character didn't pay much attention to those things. He just didn't understand why his grandfather gave it to the Great Guardian instead of the sect leader. At that time, the Supreme Sect leader didn't like the sect leader very much. Elder Yan also remembered a few words from the Supreme Sect leader before he left, saying that if he didn't return in 10 years, the sect would face a great danger. Did he already know about the existence of the 6 schools of extreme sword? It seems so. Only after witnessing their formidable martial skills could he determine. Elder Yan continued to question the Great Guardian, implying that there seemed to be many hidden motives behind his proactive intervention at this time, which had yet to be clarified. The Devil's Sword kept glancing towards Tian Pham, making him think the reason was himself at this moment in the sect leader's residence. The chief guard of the Heavenly Demon Sect, who was monitoring the Great Guardian closely, had been ordered by the sect leader to pursue him. However, with the current strength of the guards, it was difficult to track him down. What about the actions of those two? Tian Lu Tuan continued to inquire. The supervisor at the Dark Demon Sect reported that they had not seen the junior sect leader return, and Elder Yan also hadn't. Upon hearing this, the sect leader's expression darkened with displeasure. A voice suddenly echoed from behind, stating that they couldn't continue to use this pawn anymore. Wasn't it the sect leader's rule to discard expendable pawns? Let's resolve this before it becomes troublesome. Ban Shilong will not return. If we have been monitoring his actions continuously, surely we've deduced something by now. He no longer serves any purpose, so we just need to dispose of the rotten parts, and the rest of the body will heal naturally. First, we need to care for his limbs. That's a wise choice. The sect leader immediately ordered Bu Hin, bring Lai Ho Mei here and confine him before dawn. Tian Pham and the other guards quickly buried the body of Elder Nai using their skills to expedite his recovery. The Great Guardian had sustained internal injuries while they worked on their cultivation, and the main character vigilantly returned when the sky was just beginning to brighten. He said something strange even before entering the Heavenly Demon Sect. The guards seemed more vigilant than usual. Therefore, he had to order the junior sect leader and the 10th elder to conduct the ceremony hastily. However, it seemed like just a formality. Due to too many suspicions, the main character asked Nano to eavesdrop and relay important information directly to him. He had returned. Hurry to the sect leader's residence and inform him. I know the sect leader's residence has been closely monitored recently. It could be a sign. The great guardian said that they had already begun. When the devil's sword returned, the chief guard apprehended him and took him straight to the sect leader's study. Without entering, Tian Lu Tuan reprimanded his subordinates. "You're good at sneaking out at night, aren't you? Last night, when Elder Nai sneaked out, why haven't you returned yet?" As he was about to explain, the sect leader waved him off. Not only that, but the junior sect leader and the 10th elder also didn't appear in the residence. Did you know that? I didn't expect that. Not only did he control the great guardian, but also the main character. We only guessed that something had happened to Ban Shi Long's body. If it enticed him out of the residence and killed him, it would definitely have exceeded the limit due to personal grievances. The devil's sword understands this. It's surely to pressure the contemporary heavenly demon. That has nothing to do with personal grievances. Mr. Section Leader, if not, then it's for something else. He immediately spoke about the second blood devil technique. The 10th elder died from an overdose, so I informed the sect leader to bring him back to the residence. We will send someone from the guard team to accompany you. Bring his body back. The mysterious figure spoke up again. Surely the devil's sword is helping that kid. In that case, we can't proceed with the plan as intended, but we must do it anyway. The sect leader took out a key and opened a secret box containing a rather important object to him. In fact, it was an ancient spirit. This is what the great guardian received when carrying out the oath of loyalty. I didn't drink it but showed it to Ma Bai. Recently, he got some results. What results? It's unclear, but doing this is to coerce the great guardian. From now on, that kid will have to obey my orders. As for Tian Pham, he also knew that both loyal great guardians had been arrested. Not only that, but the 6 swords were also assigned to 4 factions for management. The sect leader issued instructions under the guise of enhancing the responsibilities of those in the leadership team. The sect master cried, "It's too late to find a solution now." The sect master's residence is currently crowded outside. Someone rushed in without greeting, reporting that even the delegation of the sect master of the Dark Demon sect and the guards of the sect leader's residence were there. Who is that person that started him so? He is the Sword Sect leader belonging to the Sword Sect, the subsidiary of the Sword Demon sect, known as the hidden power of the Sword Demon sect. It includes the Sword Sect leader and the Great Martial Sword Sect. However, 3 years ago, due to involvement in the incident of criminals practicing blood magic during the assessment, the entire sect was dissolved. Now only the Sword Sect leader remains, so it is called the Dark Sword Sect. Indeed, this force is formidable. Even the Grand Master is afraid. So, Tian Fan had to handle it himself. His actions had surprised most of his subordinates. He had too many thoughts. From the matter of the junior sect leader, now to the real sect leader. It was too troublesome. The resentment towards him was only because he had abandoned his mother. Even in death, he never expected to encounter that person in such circumstances. Perhaps this is fate, or something else. Everyone was worried, so they followed Tian Fan. He included the 10 Supreme Elders previously, as I had asked them to prepare. After hearing it, their confident eyes and demonstration showed they didn't understand what Tian Fan was planning. In the Demon Sect's main hall, many subordinates were calmly waiting. Bui Dai Nan seemed to be leading them. Du Qin spoke up. He was the Sword Sect leader. Although the 10 elders were a bit slow to react, they were now mobilizing their full strength. Finally, the door opened, and someone came in. Tian Fan had taken the initiative to meet most of them, respectfully performed the ceremony as usual. Ani's expressions were all very natural, revealing no flaws. He didn't show any signs of resistance either. Tian Fan couldn't understand why so many warriors were at his doorstep. Tian Fan raised his voice to instruct the chief guardian. Upon hearing the order, the chief guardian requested permission from the junior sect leader. Upon receiving it, Tian Fan issued an order for the junior sect leader to lead the sword sect to the north gate of Pupkeen City to stop them. Indeed, their intention could not be mistaken. Due to the urgent time, the junior sect leader could immediately set out. He ordered himself to handle matters outside the sect. Upon hearing the order, he became restless. He demanded to accompany to protect the sect leader. This was an order from the sect leader. How dare you interfere when the sect leader has issued an order? They mustn't attract attention to this matter. He didn't need to care about this. If he's back, just go straight to the main hall to meet the sect leader. The meeting had already begun, so they had to hurry. The Sword Demon Sect was curious about what was being discussed there. Perhaps it was a meeting about deposing the junior sect leader. Upon hearing this, Dahofap was filled with suspicion. He left without saying a word. Now, he was the subordinate of the junior sect leader, but the junior sect leader was not in the main hall. A moment later, he went straight in. It was a meeting discussing the deposition, but the main character was missing. Why was the chief guardian from his faction here? Tian Liu asked Dahofap to come forward to hear orders. He would ask a few questions, and he only needed accurate answers. Was it true that you were present at the scene witnessing the junior sect leader's ambush and murder of the second elder? Before he could respond, the sect leader threatened Dahofap. Just answer what I want to hear. Otherwise, the poison in your body will start to act. I'll ask one last time. Did the junior sect leader ambush and murder the second elder or not? The junior sect leader didn't ambush the second elder. Dahofap started to feel the poison acting inside him, but strangely, Dahofap didn't seem affected. He continued to answer the question smoothly. Why aren't you reacting? His subordinates were still explaining frantically. The sect leader was too anxious, so he rushed over. He had the power and wanted to attack his subordinate directly, but another force intervened. Two streams of energy clashed repeatedly. It turned out the chief guardian had acted disrespectfully towards the sect leader. Dahofap continued to speak louder. The reason for Ban Shilong's death was because he had practiced blood magic, so the junior sect leader intervened to prevent him from going crazy. How dare you do this to me? However, the voice was somewhat unfamiliar, and he admitted he was not the demon sect leader. To gain credibility, he removed his mask. Tian Liu was surprised to see that the person in front of him turned out to be Tian Fan in disguise, infiltrating the main hall. Observers were stunned by this sight. It couldn't be true. Why are you here, junior sect leader? I'm here to inherit the position of sect leader. Before that, the main character obediently followed orders. He had prepared his troops and was ready to go, with his followers close behind. The two sword sect leaders felt that they were just 150 miles away from their destination, so they used their eyes to communicate. Indeed, although it seemed so, it still raised suspicions. Tian Fan rode ahead and loudly asked what they were planning. Is it true that you intend to attack? We're not doing anything. This place will become the burial ground of the junior sect leader. Upon hearing this, he didn't seem afraid, just laughed. I've been waiting for your minions to finally reveal themselves. The demon sect leader struck the horse's backside and rushed forward to attack with full force. However, he couldn't make it difficult for him. Just one blow to the head, and the man fell to the ground. Another man rushed straight to deal with the remaining ones. Junior sect leader, are you planning to resist? As he asked, the man was started to hear the familiar voice. Perhaps they had all been deceived. The demon sect leader had disguised himself as the junior sect leader from the beginning. Why did your family dare to disobey the sect leader's orders? Where did I disguise myself? It's clear. The sect leader has ordered you to go out, but it's not in order to die. Your logical words are irritating, so the demon sect leader ordered his subordinates to capture them and bring them back for punishment. There were indeed many of them, but once determined to escape, would they be caught? Certainly not. Facing a master of disguise, they had prepared meticulously. Immediately, all the soldiers changed their physical appearance. This was clearly beyond the control of the demon sect leader. They returned to the main hall of the celestial devil sect, where many sect leaders were amazed. The disguise of the main character was so excellent that his voice was indistinguishable from his real one. Tian Liu was suffering a headache because his plan had failed. He saw his son adjusting his voice and suspected he had practiced some sort of dark magic. Why did you accuse me of ambushing and killing the second elder and deposing the junior sect leader? But he didn't get any answers. Tian Liu demanded that the demon sword capture the main character for rebellion. Dahofap was disappointed and said he couldn't do it. Upon hearing this, the sect leader's smile blossomed. Look, Dahofap has surrendered to the junior sect leader, not to me. Yet you still believe him. As evidence, I know Dahofap has long promised loyalty to protect the junior sect leader, but if he makes a mistake, he will surely pay the price. With just a snap of his fingers, many guards appeared from nowhere. These were the subordinates who would never show up unless there was an urgent matter. Here, it was only related to the safety of the sect leader. They immediately arrested the junior sect leader and Dahofap for me. The guards began to surround Tian Fan and his subordinates from the outside. A loud scream stopped the commotion inside. "Stop, everyone!" Some guards tried to stop them, but maybe they couldn't. If they couldn't speak, they had to resort to force. The deputy commander broke through the door and immediately apologized for being late. She said she was busy finding important evidence, so she was delayed. Then she used her divine power immediately. The corpse of Ban Chi-long, which was half embroidered, was thrown into the middle of the main hall. The crowd erupted in discussion, confirming that it was blood magic. So Dai Ho Fap was mistaken, and Tiam Liu regretted letting Bu Hien destroy the evidence. Although he had ordered no one to approach it for fear of being embroidered, they couldn't. Just thinking about it, someone else appeared. Some guards inside were knocked out. The room was chaotic, but all the sect leaders' forces had been exhausted. However, if that's the case, who is that guy after all? The sect leader looked frightened and reconsidered the situation. Indeed, Tian Fan had predicted everything like a god. Dai Ho Fap had been arrested, so the Demon Dao sect was now inactive. However, it doesn't mean that your subordinates are all the same. None of you can pass through this Chuang Ho Lake at the moment. The Heavenly Demon sect is about a few miles to the east. The old leader is still actively slashing with sharp swords in hand, continuously massacring the soldiers using the opposing blood demon technique. Although powerful, he still has to fight and find a way to escape. It's not easy for the enemy faction either, as all of their troops are using that sinister demonic technique, so it's hard to deal with them all, even for this old leader himself. After fighting for a while, he began to feel the difficulty, listening to the breaths of the soldiers, and found some joy in it. If you read good, just run away, it's useless. He disregarded the empty threats from the opposing side. With all his speed, he barely managed to keep the enemy at bay. But unexpectedly, there was a vast empty space in front filled with numerous Bin soldiers waiting, seemingly led by the chief of the That Nat faction. Today must be the end because those people up there are not allies. They belong to the demonic sect. This is beyond my expectation, the sect leader thought. Perhaps I can only come this far, but I am still satisfied because at least I could help people at this moment. Meanwhile, the enemy had already approached your home, and it seemed your life was about to end. The opposing leader looked at you as if you were a cornered mouse, taunting you with meaningless threats. But it wouldn't be difficult for you because he knew he had to die here, so he didn't bother running anymore. If I have to die here, I'm willing to use all the internal energy in my body to fight for survival. I will do anything to kill as many people as possible, all for the greater cause of our sect. Those who practice the opposing blood demon technique are not to be underestimated. They fearlessly charge into battle. Suddenly, soldiers from behind the enemy also surged forward. The chief standing at the front shouted loudly, following the command of the Heavenly Emperor, urging the cavalry to attack directly. The swords pointed straight at the subordinates of the Heavenly Emperor. The leader in the middle couldn't understand what was happening. What's going on here? He wondered. In the meantime, in the inner hall of the Heavenly Demon Sect's palace, the sect leader asked, "Do you really want to confront me to the end? I'm not here just to refute false accusations, but also to inherit this sect leader position," he replied. Upon hearing this, the Heavenly Emperor immediately ordered all the faction leaders, along with the senior members of various sects, to suppress this rebellion and bring some of his elite fighters to chop down this rebel. Many high-level fighters from his faction rushed forward to attack, but most of the people in the palace showed signs of support for the Heavenly Emperor. Seeing his subordinates being overwhelmed made the sect leader worried. He couldn't believe how quickly the situation changed. Even former adversaries were now on the same side. Meanwhile, at the border of the Dao Demon Sect, Thin Pham had directly met with Bui Shet Long. There were many subordinates waiting outside, ready to intervene if necessary, indicating the cautiousness of the Dao Demon leader. Thin Pham had heard all the transmissions between them and was somewhat surprised that there was already a large group here. Indeed, the defensive measures of the Dao Demon Sect were much better than other sects. They controlled the eastern mountains and rivers of Quam Dung City. Just by acting, they could assist the struggling old leader in confronting the Sword Sect. The old leader was quite surprised when he thought the visitor was the opposing leader himself. If he hadn't taken off his mask, he would have mistaken him for the old leader. Certainly, without this action, Bui She Long would never have met him. He overlooked personal grudges and thought about the sect leader's position, which he had heard from the sect leader. It seemed reasonable not only to himself but also to other leaders. The strange actions of the Heavenly Emperor in recent days had aroused curiosity. His bewildered expression and bizarre gestures were unusual. In fact, even the most powerful figure, the sect leader himself, couldn't resist. To break the silence, Tai and Pham reminded that the present time was pressing, and both agreed to cooperate in overthrowing the sect leader right in the main hall. The more one understood him, the more one had to acknowledge his bravery and audacity. Do you know why the Great Green Sect, despite being the root of our religion, still bows before the Heavenly Masters who are not from our sect? The role of the sect leader is to communicate with them, and the lifeblood of the Heavenly Masters is entrusted to them for that purpose. So, what the young sect leader is doing now is no different from overturning the sky, a senseless and irrational battle that will lead nowhere. Even if we put aside this destined relationship, there's no reason to blindly follow the young sect leader's orders. As we were discussing, there was commotion outside, and subordinates sought permission to enter, concerned for their master. However, Lon, the guardian, adamantly refused, reiterating that no one was allowed inside. Inside the study, the demonic energy emanating from T and Pham was intense. The sect leader, startled, turned back and asked what he intended to do. Before him stood the presence of the heavenly demon sword. Hence, the current situation, where all the elders were protecting the young sect leader. Tai and Lu Tan saw the loyal disciples turning against him and became furious. How dare you disobey the sect leader's orders? He roared, exerting his internal strength to suppress this rebellion. However, this was the perfect moment for the protagonist to reveal the demonic energy emanating from within him, proving his point before all the sect leaders and even the guards surrounding them. The appearance of the heavenly demon sword validated the words of the heavenly demon patriarch. Whoever possessed it would gain the title bestowed by the heavenly demon patriarch. At this critical moment, when the factions were surprised, both the most powerful figures possessed the heavenly demon sword. It was unbelievable. How could that brat possess such a sword? Did the elders protect him because he already had it, or was the sect leader's mind too confused? Everyone knew that the artifacts he was using were fake, but before anyone could say anything, a voice from behind spoke up, demanding that Tai and Lu Tan would never be acknowledged. If he admitted everything, it would end, as he couldn't prove the authenticity of the sword. Destroy that sword, the sect leader commanded, attempting to break the heavenly demon sword. But as soon as he touched it, a surge of demonic energy attacked him. In front of him, Long Lai was roaring as if about to swallow everything. This frightened Tai and Lu Tan, but it was only in his mind. Outwardly, everything remained calm. What happened? Black Dragon. What had caused this? Could the sword have induced an illusion? Tai and Pham knew this, and he explained that it was indeed the true heavenly demon sword, made from the bones and blood of the Black Dragon, an artifact decided by its owner. Now was the time for the Grand Law Guardian to begin his plan. Disregarding the sect leader's instructions, he stood up and declared that all the followers of the great heavenly demon sect should accept the heavenly demon decree, holding the demon slayer sword, a card revealed by the heavenly demon patriarch himself. No one dared to oppose. All bowed and awaited the instructions of the heavenly demon decree, seeking the protection of the heavenly orders, waiting for the sect leader. Now, Tai and Lu Tan seemed helpless, unable to stop this, as the young sect leader had passed the test. I will transfer my authority to the young sect leader, Tian Pham, said the shadow behind repeatedly, urging Tai and Lu Tan to act, to carry out the orders of the heavenly demon, the successor of the founding patriarch. These words seemed to pierce the sect leader's mind, causing him such a headache that he couldn't bear it. Then a voice in his head blamed him for being useless, defeated by a younger generation. Who are you to challenge me like this? This incident made it more certain, as everyone knew that the sect leader often talked to himself like a madman. But no one dared to speak up, so Tai and Pham took advantage of it to argue for seizing the position of the Grand Law Guardian. Why did he have to hasten that day? What was the reason? Lately, the sect leader has been suspicious of his subordinates ever since he returned from the archives beneath the Demon Dao Temple. The demeanor of the sect leader, as perceived by contemporary demons, has indeed changed compared to before. He used to be more composed, but it's certain that he's not someone who speaks without purpose. It's challenging to convince others of this, but recently, the sect leader has been facing issues, or rather, he has changed. The story is remembered when the protagonist is at the peak of the 10,000 Great Mountains, seemingly often talking to someone named Tian Du-jing. Yen Mukha appears surprised and asks, "What do you mean by talking to that nobleman? Are you talking about something strange? Isn't Lord Tian Du-jing the one who fell in battle under Emperor Hong's hand in the war against the Dark Alliance 30 years ago? He was once a supreme master, one of the 5 great masters of the martial arts world, under the leadership of the heavenly supreme master Thenan Shi, who disappeared and encroached upon the territory of the heavenly demon divine sect, leading to the war that occurred on the precious Chao Plain, which was the battle that helped the current sect leader be recognized as one of the new 5 great masters. Are you saying that the sect leader is talking to the dead, or what?" After regaining control of the Jiang sect, the sect leader always looks at the empty wall or dark place to converse. Initially, he didn't talk for long, so I didn't suspect anything. But surely something is eroding all 3 of them, making them incomprehensible. Why is Tian Lutuan acting like this? Returning to reality, the 3 elders spoke up to question the sect leader. "Who are you talking to? The junior cannot understand what he is doing either. Didn't you see Lord Tian Du-jing sitting behind there? Perhaps because of his lust for power, he has become deranged. Who would talk to someone who died decades ago? You're going too far. If you exceed the limit, we won't forgive you. Leave the great hall now." Mala Kiem raised his voice and decisively said, "There's no one behind the throne, and Lord Tian Du-jing has fallen on the battlefield for a long time. Go see Mr. Y now to get treatment." Before finishing speaking, a surge of energy flew past the great court hall. "You want to turn me into a madman to create trouble? I'll restore order to the demonic sect myself." Tian Lu Tuan pointed his sword straight at Tian Pham Daho Phap's direction. The courtiers rushed to intervene, but were stopped by him. Perhaps now is the time when they can't act impulsively. Indeed, his guess was correct. It should have been recognized since regaining control of the Jiang sect. The suspicion of being the leader of the 6 veins of the extreme blade ignited the war on the mountain peak. The sect leader was injured, and he didn't look well at all. It turns out it's not just an internal injury. Specifically, this is the side effect of using the blood demon technique. Now I'll send you down to the golden stream myself. Just because of someone like you, the whole sect is in trouble. Tian Pham felt embarrassed because his father acted decisively, without hesitation. Finally, that's what he wanted. The other elders were planning to suppress the sect leader, but they also couldn't do it. Perhaps they want to do it themselves to repeat what the heavenly demon patriarch wanted to do years ago. Immediately, he tore off the chief elder's robe. "Now I have status in everything." He is half awake and half dreaming, and the wound cannot be completely healed. But it cannot be denied that he is a master and one of the 5 great masters of martial arts. Can a contemporary like me confront him? But just thinking about this, the sect leader's aura directed straight at him. Too many thoughts made him lose focus. Indeed, this strike aimed to assassinate the only surviving son of the Tian Lu Tuan lineage. His face flushed with blood, showing that the blood demon technique was being used. If he understood the internal force, he would never be able to oppose the sect leader. Perhaps this battle has too many disadvantages for him. Without the heavenly demon sword, his sword would have been broken, and he couldn't underestimate the Gap realm. It's a level higher because the opponent's strength is overwhelming. Therefore, he had to use the heavenly demon sword technique immediately. The situation is now tilting in favor of the sect leader, as his normal abilities have become stronger, and now, with the blood demon technique, he also knows the heavenly demon sword art. This surprised Tian Pham because it wasn't in his predictions. He felt overwhelmed by both speed and power. There was no time for hesitation. The heavenly demon sword emitted a powerful aura to confront the heavenly demon sword technique. The first formula was released, but it couldn't diminish the sect leader's will. No matter how much energy he sent, the sect leader's determination remained steadfast. However, the energy flow brought by the heavenly demon sword is too different, making the sect leader unable to control the situation. This is because the heavenly demon sword technique can only be learned within the sword artifact, as it cannot neutralize weak vital energy. So I still haven't mastered it. How could it be learned? Feeling uneasy about this, Tian Lu Tuan had to change his divine tactics. From the palm of his hand, The divine power spread throughout. The swords in the hands of his subordinates were easily controlled. Indeed, the sect leader's realm was not easy to fall. All the spirit swords surrounded him and were ready to be launched at any time. Tian Pham was not afraid. On the contrary, he was very relaxed. It turns out he also had thoughts like mine. Immediately, he shouted loudly, calling his junior brother to come and assist him. Unexpectedly, from nowhere, a tiger and leopard jumped straight into the great hall. It turned out to be disguised as a female servant since when? No one knew. Lord, please take the white dragon sword quickly. As it was rapidly heading towards its master to deal with someone stronger, this was the easiest way for Tian Pham to grasp the white dragon sword firmly. Without hesitation anymore, his kid also enveloped the white dragon sword. He had to use the footwork he had learned from the black sword of the first elder. Do you think your elder Vu Tran Gain? That's ridiculous. Just as he said that, the sect leader began to act. The spirit swords at the Trung Kao stage were shot towards Tian Pham. Now, he began to gather strength to respond. A loud shout increased his dominance and also brought a lot of power. He combined the Heavenly Demon Sword technique and the Divine Blade technique. The Heavenly Demon Sword technique, called the Divine Blade of Extreme Tao, was born. The miraculous swords of the sect leader were all shattered. He couldn't believe the power was so overbearing. Nothing could stop it. But at this moment, you despicable thing, you'd used the wrathful sword before. So why should I thank the Grand Law Court for the power of this sword? It seems even stronger than the power of the 7 swords combined. If so, then the remaining 4 swords will also be shattered, and everything will be much simpler. Although the spirit swords were controlled very miraculously, they could not touch him at all. The situation changed 180 degrees as the sect leader gradually became weaker. His mind was also unstable, so the spirit swords were erratic unlike before. The protagonist also noticed this, and the elders sitting there appeared admiringly. He had severed the connection with the vital energy of the wrathful sword. Indeed, it was because of that wound that the sect leader became weaker, and he was shaking his mind. If the heavenly demon sect does not let go, this is an opportunity. It's unclear how Tian Pham will deal with the sect leader now. His opponent seemed to be in pain and exhausted all over because of the side effects of the blood demon technique. The child was determined to charge forward with heroic spirit, causing the sect leader to panic. Now, he didn't know how to fight back. His eyes had changed. His pupils had become deadly rays. This showed that the sect leader's inner strength was not yet exhausted. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to crack, and the tremors started within the great hall. A giant stone platform erected to create a shield was just in time. Tian Pham was about to leap in to finish it off, but he became hesitant. A loud scream from behind the stone platform drew everyone's attention. The sect leader screamed in pain, not wanting anyone to approach him. He swung wildly, shaking everything around him. Tian Pham was still very close and swung his sword down. It showed the affection was gone. Now would he spare the old man's life? The tips of both swords clashed at the same time. Due to the speed being too fast, they passed each other, sparking. This also caused him to be lightly injured. So, the two masters used their strongest weapons to retaliate against each other, seemingly without any problems. Only the sect leader was constantly overwhelmed by the demonic energy, causing his strength to diminish gradually. His realm was slipping away, and the key in his hands was gradually becoming unstable. Continuous cracks were created, and the fake heavenly demon sword was shattered when facing the true heavenly demon sword. Without letting his father rest, the protagonist continued to approach again. He felt it was too time-consuming, so this is enough. The rest of the work will probably be done by the White Dragon Sword. Dozens of paths of the Extreme Tao Divine Blade technique were unleashed, striking all the vital points on the sect leader's body. Tian Pham remained cold and showed no mercy. The sect leader had lost all his strength and couldn't do anything anymore. The crowd gasped in amazement at the skill of the junior sect leader, who could only use a backhand stroke but still generate such terrifying power. The fake heavenly demon sect leader fell to the ground, indicating complete victory for Tian Pham. The sect leader couldn't utter a word. His mouth just kept opening and closing, spewing blood. The struggle for power between the two sides had ended, and many subordinates of Tian Lu Tuan expressed their fear that their leader would die soon. They were furious and felt helpless, unable to save their sect leader. Tian Pham quietly looked at his father's appearance. With eyes like this, he probably wouldn't have any murderous intentions. Tian Lu Tuyen looked no different from a madman, accompanied by hurried breaths. Those around understood that this was a sign of weakness when facing a contemporary heavenly demon. Then the sect leader's moans began to echo, his voice repeatedly saying that he would let the victory fall into the hands of the traitor. Did he intend to ignore the betrayal of the 6 great sects, which had caused the deaths of his beloved mother and wife? The sect leader regained his strength and approached the protagonist. Don't step back. Instead of retreating, kill the traitor right in front of you and behind those who support him to restore order to the heavenly demon sect. The atmosphere returned to its original state. As long as he didn't step back, the blood rebellion divine power would withdraw its support. Tian Lu Tuyen was in pain, unable to control his anger. He didn't know what his current state was. Many images of the past rushed back, enveloping his mind. Kan Ha-an, his mother, was the daughter of the previous sect leader of the Sword Demon sect. Coincidentally, while she was pregnant, Kan Duan, the younger brother of Kan Ha-an, was also pregnant. Thus Kan Ha-an gave birth to the protagonist, while Kan Duan also gave birth at the same time. This made the sect leader very confused because, at the same time, Heaven gave birth to both his children. According to the sect leader's intention, both were recognized as candidates for the position of junior sect leader. But not long after, Kan Ha-an claimed to be the rightful one and constantly belittled and looked down on Kan Duan and other concubines. Finally, she fell ill and was on the verge of death before she weaned the protagonist. At that time, the sect leader was always cold-hearted by other concubines. His job then was to help his younger brother ascend to the position of sect leader in place of his mother. He apologized to his older brother. Regarding the recent incident, he was determined that his younger brother would become the junior sect leader and that these things would never happen again. It seemed like the brotherly relationship between the two of them was very good when they were young. Tian Lu Tuyen grew up amidst the contempt of everyone, and his only joy was Tian Duan, who treated him like his real brother. But that didn't last long. As soon as he entered the demon sect, the remaining 5 great sects continued to look down on him. They hoped that as long as his younger brother became the junior sect leader, all these things would disappear. This hope seemed never to be shattered and began to collapse when Tian Lu Tuyen's martial arts talent showed outstanding talent that other candidates for the junior sect leader could not match. By the age of 13, he had also passed the 5th level test of the demon sect's training. There were many rumors and discussions, and the feelings between the brothers were divided at that time. But the sect leader tried hard to reconcile. However, he couldn't do anything. The relationship between the two became more distant, realizing that his own talent was what caused him and his younger brother to drift apart. Since then, Tian Lu Tuyen stopped training and chose to hide, even when other candidates for the junior sect leader called for voting him. He still didn't allow anyone to register. But there was one person who, despite being rejected many times, still wanted to be under his command, and that was Du Voi of Puck Sword Sect. At that time, the sect leader had always refused and demanded that he go help the main disciple, Tian Du Chin. But he still persisted and pursued until the end. At the end of the 4th year in the demon sect, after leaving the sect, he immediately attacked the other candidates for the position of junior sect leader. They had decided to join forces to eliminate the previous person, and junior sect leader Tian Du Chin agreed with that. Upon hearing this, the sect leader angrily denied it, saying not to talk nonsense like that to him. He knew they would focus on where they could. If he didn't believe, he could go there himself to see that both had secretly followed and heard a few words from Tian Maosen, the junior sect leader of Huyan Ma sect. The next day, we will attack him right when he graduates from the demon sect. We won't participate because we don't want to use that method. Tian Due, the junior sect leader of Puck Ma sect, spoke up. Du Chin, what do you think? Are you also changing your mind for him being from the same sect as you? There's no such thing. Do you think I will acknowledge a descendant like him? I will also participate. Hearing these words, Tian Lu Tuyen declared sadly, accompanied by a sense of betrayal and disappointment when the person he considered closest did this. But don't worry, brother, in the future, no matter what happens, I will still stand by your side. Those words seemed to make the current sect leader's rationality collapse. He didn't know what to do. Then Du Voi immediately advised him, "Have you figured it out yet, sir? You have to attack them first to survive. I have to ask you, why did you let me know about this? Puck's sword sect belongs to the Sword Ma sect, and because I myself share the same bloodline as the main disciple's mother. His mother, Kong Ha An, is my cousin. Before being forced by the elder Kong Kong to be his adopted son, her name was Du Vian. At that time, she already had a fiancé, but just because she had to give birth to a candidate for the junior sect leader, she became the adopted daughter of the Sword Ma sect and lived a miserable life. Do you know Puck's sword sect about that? In his anger and hatred, Puck's sword sect's leader could no longer bear it. Tien Liu Tuin understood that all the years his father had lived were a mess. It turned out that his mother had passed away, and he was considered a waste of the Sword Ma sect. Du Vo kept reminding the sect leader that he had to act first. He had to do that to survive and to repay this grudge for his cousin. But how could I cope with all of them alone? There is a way that can help you overpower them. And then his loyal subordinate schemed, planning carefully. All the sect leaders systematically defeated each of the other candidates for the junior sect leader. Clearly not very intelligent, but their martial arts skills were definitely better. Finally, all the other junior sect leaders were easily defeated. The conspiracy of those 5 sects had been shattered, and their bodies were tortured to a terrifying extent. A night of endless rain heavily weighed on the 2 brothers, but not for a bit of emotional exchange. Rather, it was before dawn. One of them would definitely die. Du Qin was frightened when he realized that Tien Liu Tuin had used the reverse blood demon art, which had already been lost. Only killing was the top priority. The junior sect leader of the Sword Ma sect was terrified because he couldn't fight back. Without needing to fight, he became afraid. Pleas and begging for mercy could be heard throughout the night. Du Vo observed all of this, understanding that it was not just the reverse blood demon art, but it had been improved under the order of the Sword Ma clan leader. Not only did it increase power, but it also helped cultivators retain their sanity and reduce side effects. Simply put, it was called the reverse blood great demon art. Du Qin below didn't know how to stop him. Tien Liu Tuin, his blood-soaked face, thundered to add more fear to him. Tien Liu Tuin gripped the sword tightly in his hand to prepare to deal with the last opponent for the position of junior sect leader. Then the words from years ago continuously invaded his mind. Whatever happens, brother, I will always stand by your side. With a sweep of his right arm, Du Qin's face was covered in blood. He screamed in agony, perhaps his life would be spared.